just had Linda Jackson. If you wouldn't mind unmuting, please.
What's up, y'all?
How you doing this afternoon?
I'm well, and yourself?
I'm good.
What's up?
Same as everybody else, credentials, name, location.
Well, start off with TL on B Crew for 3300 over on the East Dock. I've been a TL for 6 years. Started at Jefferson North in 2010 on the K line out of Chassis. Currently, I'm the guide of Local 7, elected in 2017, sit on the executive board. I'm also 2019 recipient of the fellowship program out of Region 1, which is basically an opportunity to get trained in various aspects of the UAW history and have the opportunity to go back and teach. So had it not been for Corona, I would be up at Black Lake teaching my first class this month. So hopefully after everything kind of blows over, let's pray that I'll be able to complete the training and come back to Local 7 and do some teaching, especially because TPTs can't use TAP and scholarships are not available for all. So a lot of the classes that you get at U of M and at the region and at different conferences, we'll be able to have at Local 7. Some of the other things I can mention, I did hear Jemani say the formerly known as the Alliance. The Alliance team is a nonprofit organization registered in the state of Michigan. Team standing for Teach Each Active Member. So through the Alliance, we have kicked it off maybe about 2.5 years ago with a parliamentary procedure class taught by Skip Turner. We had maybe about 15 people attend the class or so. And then we moved on to a suicide prevention class. We had a few financial literacy classes. Of course, the movie night. The movie night, what I loved about the movie night is, first we took a donation amongst ourselves after we got our profit sharing, a small donation from each member so that we can have one showing. And then when the show sold out, we had somebody on B Crew that contacted us and asked us how much it cost and actually donated half of the price so that we can have another showing. And so when other members found out that people were contributing, they started to contribute as well. So a second show was actually put on. So I was very proud of that moment because ultimately we're trying to inspire other people. I don't like that. I see people think that because you have a leadership position, the union, so to speak, is supposed to be doing X, Y, and Z for you. True, they do have a certain responsibility. However, it's the members that keep the morale boosted. When I came in, we had a good time. We enjoyed coming to work. We didn't think about the 9-10 hours we were spending. We were actually there 12 hours. But we had such a good time because the morale was just at an overall high. And throughout the years, between people going out on disability and medical and retiring and people moving closer to their retirement date, people have kind of got away from that. So the Alliance team started to try to pick up some of that slack. So the majority of us are on B Crew. And that's where we do a lot of our movement at. So we try to do like the lunch and learns. We did the TPT lunch and learns, like 2 or 3 of them. And it's not a whole lot, but it's saying a lot when you just taking the time out to ask questions and listen to people doing different surveys. What are you guys experiencing? What would you like to see? How would you like to be involved? What would make you involved? Giving them different languages that they maybe they're not privy to, and kind of explaining it to them, breaking it down to them, and really just engaging them. You know what I'm saying? From there, we do like B Crew had to work Mother's Day, Father's Day. So we took up, people came in and was donating to us, and we put on food for the mothers and the fathers on both of those days. Like I say, it's not a whole lot, it's just a gesture. Before JNAP was giving out cold water, like we see them doing now, we were already going around every break, going to the major bathroom areas, delivering cold water, freeze pops, cold Gatorades. Like I say, not a whole lot, just something to show that we're looking out for each other. And that's really the message that we've been trying to give to people. Depend on each other. If y'all always fighting and arguing, y'all not looking at each other like brother and sister, and you're not going to look out for each other. So,
Yes.
A lot of other different things I could say, but I was kind of in the car. I seen y'all was doing y'all thing, so I did want to tap in for a little second while I could.
So Terry, why
Yes, sir.
did you say to Linda when she said that they do the free beverages on B Crew? Why didn't you just say to her that's a drop in the bucket? We got 5,000 people in the plant, like you said to me on the profit sharing to the TPT. I like that double standard being hit. We getting killed with.
I want to say it's not the same because I'm not saying that, hey, TPTs, I look out for you because I gave 2 or 3 people a couple $100. Now, mind you, we're all on jobs. I'm not on the pilot team, brother. You know, I've been on the job every day since the pandemic hit because manpower is terrible. And even with my 2 TPTs, I do not have enough people to run my crew, run my team. So I'm getting off my job and I'm going to set up with other individuals at different bathroom breaks, not just the ones by my area, but I mean, I'm hitting paint shop, I'm hitting body shop, I'm going down the subway, and I'm on the east side. You know, these are different areas that we're hitting because we're not just trying to cater to just one area. Now, the issue is we wanted to further it so that we can hit A Crew and B Crew because they were starting to feel left out. But here's the thing with that. You got a lot of people telling because they don't want you coming on their crew making them look bad. So I have to stay in my place and stay at my home. We tried to get worker to worker off the ground, and as soon as, you know, we were start catching momentum and start about to do stuff, the pandemic hit, stopped us in our tracks. But like I said, all we can do is inspire other individuals to do stuff. Like when you and Shayla did the cupcake thing for Valentine's Day, we were doing the candy thing or the donut thing. That's a sub. You know, we inspired you guys to do that, and people were thankful for it. Like I say, it was a drop in the bucket. However, it was just a small token of your love for them. That's it.
I said it because Terry hit me with that. He didn't hit you with that. I just want to be fair across the board.
I'm being very unbiased. I'm being very unbiased. I'm not picking any sides. I'm being very unbiased. Like I said, I want this to just be a public forum where everybody can get their point of view across.
And I really appreciate that. I told you that when we couldn't get the meet and greet over at the local because of this pandemic mess, that I applauded you for taking the initiative. Then nobody had to tell you to do it. You saw it needed to be done and you did it. And that's all that matters. One thing I noticed with the committees, you have so many people that are on multiple committees that you are not giving 100% of yourself. And I think that's so selfish. That's why you have multiple subcommittees that have been formed. And one of the things that Worker to Worker was supposed to be doing is pushing these other committees to do it, because people had issues when they feel like you stepping on their toes or you doing things that they supposed to be doing. So we were trying to push other people to get their committees up and running, because it's terrible that when you do go and sign up for a committee, you're waiting 3 and 4 years, but you have all of these people who are on all of the same committees, going on trips,
doing nothing,
paying for, not coming back, pushing this information to the membership. There is a motion, a recommendation from an e-board member 2.5 years ago that committees report out. Has not happened. You had another person submit a letter to the executive board stating that they want the chair of the committees or co-chairs to stand up at the end of the year to report out what have you done this year. There were committee chairs that were actually at this meeting that did not speak. There were co-chairs at the committee at this union meeting that did not speak. That's unacceptable. However, when you do try to bring stuff to the membership, it gets said that it's the president's committee, which kind of stops everything in its track and it discourages people. So you have people that want to participate and want to do things, but people acting like it's a members only thing to get on the committee. That's first thing. Second thing, I was the person who made the recommendation in the executive board room in January of 2019 to have the financial report given to the members. 2 reasons. One, I got people, I network everywhere I go. I network with other locals to see what it is that they're doing. Is it successful? Could we bring it to Local 7? It's a shame that I sit in the executive board room and I'm looking at the financial report and I have questions that I can't get answered in a room of 13 people. So this is why a lot of things I brought to the union meeting, because maybe you feel like you don't have to address me in this small room of people, but let's see how you do in front of your voter base that comes to the union meeting. And so you got other people that say when we walk in our union hall, the financial report is sitting on the chairs. So you don't even have to ask. When you ask a question, it's broken down to you. Before we even got there, Local 7 had the financial report in the Citadel that was sent to your house. Total transparency. That was the purpose of that meeting. And I was appalled to see that individuals thought that motion was out of order in January and threw away financial reports. Another thing was you have people that are, how can I put this? You have people that are trying to manipulate individuals into feeling a certain way. When you go and you request the minutes, you have to put in a formal request. And then you have to understand the recording secretary is only supposed to be in the local 1 day a week. And just recently, where I took the executive board minutes in March, and I had almost 20 pages of minutes. That's a lot of typing for you to do in 1 day when you have other individuals that are sending request upon request. And people were really upset that Michelle was over to the local, but if she doesn't get the opportunity to come over there, you're not going to get this stuff done. I've submitted requests as an officer of the local. I've sent it in writing. I've brought it to the executive board meeting that I still have 2 requests that have yet to even be fulfilled. So I don't want to say that it's because of me. However, it is a coincidence and it don't look good. Because when you do say that you're trying to unify and we're solidarity and vote for me, you shouldn't have people that have to pull teeth to get information. I remember there was a request that Mr. Gons had sent about getting financial information on how much money we're spending on trips, because I was totally appalled that people are on these committees going to Black Lake back to back and then try to set stipulations for members who have never even had the opportunity to go. And so when I brought it to the financial secretary that this letter has not yet been addressed, it was pushed to Gary Hill. And everybody on this Zoom know that Gary Hill is inexperienced, and he'll tell you himself, he does not know what to do with that information. So I found it very insulting that instead of just answering the question, you pushed this to somebody so that it was a dead end. Mm-hmm. Another thing that I did want to address, I wanted to address this TPT thing, because I got asked by a few higher ups in regards to it, because they was upset that it was used as a political strategy. Exactly. I want to say to the members that's on this unity slate right now, I think that it was a great idea that you made a flyer and you said that TPTs can vote for these offices, because too far and too much do we hear that TPTs can't do X, Y, and Z. I did, however, find it offensive that you suggested these particular people. If you're going to be informative, then be informative. There's no issue in being informative. But a lot of TPTs took offense to it. And myself, I took offense to it. Because a lot of people that are on that slate has never been vocal about TPT issues whatsoever. And I'm not talking about you, Jemani. I know the things that you've done. I know, the conversations that you've had. I'm just saying in particular, some other individuals that have never in fact spoken out about these issues or even allude to the fact that they care to say, but now it's time for a vote and people are all in their face. If you're going to be genuine about it and if it's coming from your heart, then I have no issue with that. But if you're doing it for a vote, then shame on you. And that's all I'm gonna say about that.
I agree with you, sister.
I appreciate the opportunity to speak to y'all. If y'all do have a question, I'm gonna stay on for a couple of more minutes, but I'm gonna cut my mic off because I have some other things.
Let me address that real quick, London. I don't know if you knew this, but when I came back from COVID, I thanked you and Shayla and John, which I was going with an important question. I forgot to thank Tammy for it, so Tammy, thank you also. But the question at hand, and we said people have a problem with things. Is London still here? Or she leave?
No, Linda's still here.
A lot of people, Linda was offended too, also because people get offended by different things that different people say and do. But when we talk about offense, people were offended by. That's why I put the asterisk on it. People were offended by a nomination sheet that had 2 people's names with asterisks on it. So when we talk about how people are offended about things, we all have done things that have offended other membership. The key is how do we try to explain ourselves and correct it and go forward as a membership as a whole. Everybody on this page has done something to offend somebody. The problem
That don't make sense.
Hold on.
You
So-
talking out the side of your neck.
Offended
That's-
by
that's-
the way that our name was listed on the ballot.
No, the asterisks. People are offended by the asterisks.
Okay, hold on. Let me turn my mic back on before I
That's not a good
go to my
comparison.
food. And I'm gonna show y'all something right quick, right?
I'm about to take mine off.
So do y'all see this?
Mhm.
Y'all recognize what this is? Any of the candidates recognize what this paper is? This paper is your nomination paper, right?
Mm-hmm.
This paper basically says that you put on this paper exactly how you want your name to say. I don't have bylaws and all that. I ain't locked and loaded with my bylaws with me right now with my constitution. However, it does state that the member, when it comes to an election, has the right to put their name the way they would like it. And excuse me, but I don't have a nickname. I'm L, I'm LJ, I'm Linda. When you speak of me, you know me as my whole name. So that's what I put. I didn't put parentheses, Lynn or Big Linda or none of that. I wanted my name to stand out. So when it comes to when you look at that ballot, everybody has a nickname and they put their parentheses and that's their prerogative. If I was running for financial secretary, guess what I put next to my name? The $, because it's a symbol and I can use it and that's my right and that's my business. However, before you even put out a flyer, you have individuals who are protesting the election because of these asteroids next to my name. Let me tell you this. On every flyer and poster you see, guess what's going to be on it? An asteroid, because that's my business. I have
He
that
gonna do it next.
as a UAW member to put my name the way I
Can I speak? Can I speak, please?
We got quite a few hands.
Okay, so I really just want to chime in with all the extra dialogue going on. And I understand people are at the height of their emotions right now. This happens every 3 years, but let's bring it back to reality. Sit on the executive board when you got to sit around a table full of people that you do not share their opinions. And you guys have different views on things. Remember, you have to compromise and come together as a majority and vote for the best decision for this local. Let's keep in mind, because this is recorded and people are going to see this. Because as the guy sitting on the board and I'm assisting ATL with trying to keep order, people are all over the place. There's no respect being shown to anybody. When it's time for someone to speak, people are over talking people. This is why we have these issues on the executive board. Either people vote because their friends said this is how we're going to vote, or people don't even vote at all. If you're talking about pulling records, you can pull the records and see how many individuals that sat on that board that are asking for your vote again, who did not even care to vote on some of the most controversial issues that you guys are talking about right now. This is something that people have to be aware of. We are not individuals when we are trying to be elected to anything. You have to work as a team, regardless if I like you or not. Walking away from questions and double talking and beating around the bush is not helping move us forward. When that gentleman asked, what are we going to do to unify and bring people together? And a lot of people are kind of dancing around it. I appreciate the people who did come through and answer that question, to the best of their abilities. But in order to get past a lot of this stuff, I don't like the fact that, and Enoch touched on this, as of 2010, we came into so much arguing and bickering and, divisiveness. And I don't like the fact that we've been pulled into that. Don't have anything to do with you guys. And that's not fair to us. That's not fair to Local 7, because long after the 94s and 96 and 97s are retired, the 2010s and the 12s and the 13s and the TPTs of right now will be the people that are responsible for this local. And to be honest, the reason why I ran in the first place, not for this position, but the last position, was because I didn't feel like anybody was representing me the way that they needed to. You had twos and fews, but twos and fews do not speak for the majority. And people have to start getting away from my personal feelings. And one of the things that my steward, Ron Carney, taught us before he left to go to Stamping for Skilled Trade was, and this was me as a TL when I first became a TL, to take my feelings out of situations. You got to take your feelings out of this. Take your emotions out of this stuff. People going to feel the way that they feel. But you have to be able to talk to people with respect in order to get respect. And a lot of people are getting disrespected because they disrespect other individuals. And let's just keep that 100. If I have an issue with the issue at hand, then allow me to have my issue. Don't roll your eyes. Don't overtalk me. Don't belittle me or make me feel like I'm dumb or stupid because you got 20 years and I got 10. And I'm saying that from personal experience. A lot of the things that I brought to the union meetings in the past is because when you tried to have a conversation on the executive board, people would look at you and talk to you like you don't have no experience. Who do you think you're talking to? Matter of fact, that came out of people's mouth on the executive board. Who does she think she is? Who she think she talking to? She went to a couple classes, now she gonna tell me what to do. That has to stop because everybody on here can learn from other individuals. And when you feel like you know so much that nobody can teach you anything, you might as well go ahead and lay down and die, because every day is supposed to be a learning experience. You can learn from your adversaries. And if you're not learning, then something is wrong with you. But the way that this is even going is just a mess. And people don't want to take ownership and responsibility for the damages that they have done. And I think that's why this election has just been turned into an entire circus. Take responsibility. It's okay to say you messed up. We all gonna mess up at some point. But when you get to the point where you feel like I don't have to admit anything and I'm gonna just brush this under the rug, that's why it keeps resurfacing. So at some point, and if you're not going to take the responsibility, then step aside and let other people come in and start handling this business, because I don't see a lot of torches being passed at all. I see a lot of people yanking torches, like, give it to me, because you're not doing what you're supposed to do with it. Just because you have 20 or 30 years do not mean you're entitled to a position. Because at some point, you don't see any 80-year-old freedom marchers. Those are the young people's jobs. And as you get older, just like with your children, you're supposed to be teaching the youngins, because you're not going to be here always. And that's just the reality of it. We got to get over this ownership of these positions and ownership of this local, because we are supposed to be passing this on to the next generation. And I fear that if people are getting in these positions just to have a title, just to say I'm not on the line, or because your buddy who's the same age as you is in a position, you feel like you need to be in a position too. See, we're not moving our local forward. We're just patting people on the back because we're friends with them. We got to get away from that stuff, y'all. And it's killing us, because people are on these posts talking about how they don't even want to participate. It's looking like the regular presidential candidate, Trump and Biden right now. This is sad. How do you motivate people when this is all we're showing them? We're not showing them how great it is to be in a union. We're not showing them how great it is to have brotherhood and sisterhood. That's how you start unifying people. We got to show them, because the talk people saying is cheap. Hey, I guess I'll go. My bad. I had my headphones in. I was just listening. So my name is Linda Jackson.
How come I can't see you?
Because I'm doing stuff, Miss She.
Oh, okay.
I took my video off. But my name is Linda Jackson. I am the current guide of UAW Local 7. Like I said, I'm a TL on B Crew for the past 6 years in material. And I ran for the position of guide because I wanted to get a bird's eye view of exactly what was going on and assess it for myself. You hear so many rumors on the floor, but there's only a selected few that sit at that table that knows exactly how things go. I'm running for this position particularly because communication. Everything you see somebody make a post about is, oh, they're not giving us the information, we're lacking in communication. And of course, everybody knows me from Facebook, even if they've never met me before, they've heard my name or they saw my name, because I always post information and try to keep people in the loop. One of the major things, and I talk about this on my flyer, is getting our information more organized. Like right now, if you have a question on one of the work groups, I guarantee you can't find the answer, because there's 1,000 flyers, there's 1,000 videos, memes, and arguing and bickering that's going on. But I look at other locals who, even if they have their in-house issues, but their communication is intact.
their website is up and functioning. And according to the bylaws, you have your education committee chair, and you have one person from the executive board that oversees the website, oversees the Citadel. Right now, that is one of the candidates I'm running against is the education committee chair, and you have the financial secretary as the co-editor. And and there's no shade, but I'm not satisfied with the level of communication that's flowing through our local and our plant. And I know that we can do a lot better than we're doing. So that's one of the first things that I want to tackle is to get more people on our website where it's a secure website. You don't have management all in your business, and you can go exactly right to where you need to go to get the information. You don't have to fish. You don't have to ask 50 different people and get 50 different answers. You get the information from the recording secretary who gets all correspondence. You get information from your president. I think that it should be the role of the recording secretary to find different avenues and modernize with the times to make sure that we're being the most effective when it comes to our membership. So there's a lot of other different things that I see. Of course, you know, being a secretary, you're taking the correspondence, you're taking the minutes. You want to make sure that you're getting the most important detail in those minutes because people will go back and try to fact check. And when those things are not in the minutes, then it looks like you're not doing your job. So I have experience in taking the minutes, and you will read minutes, and you have heard minutes that I've actually taken for the membership. But I want to be more than what I'm doing right now. I want to show people that there is something better. We can communicate outside of Facebook. We can have our Citadel mailed to our home with more in-depth information than a couple of pictures and people trying to brag on themselves on what they've done. People need to hear what's going on, and you don't have to necessarily hear it from Facebook all the time. So that and just trying to keep everything in order. Recording secretary is still working on the line. I mean, I'm a TL, so at some point, hopefully, if I am elected, I'll give up my position. I'll give up my extra pay. I'll give up the overtime, and I'm willing to do the sacrifice to make sure that Local 7 is moving in a better direction. So, thank you.
Thank you.